Hi everyone. In today's tutorial, we are going to learn how to save some money when you go to college or even now. Hopefully you kind of already know how this works. If you don't, I'm kind of sorry you haven't known before, but if you're an entering freshman and you're learning about this now, you'll probably save quite a bit of money doing this. Now, you might know that textbooks prices are increasing all the time, and publishers are always producing a new edition every couple of years, and so the prices are always going up, and they don't seem to ever be going down. So one way to combat that is to, try a few tricks to save money, and I'm going to go over a couple of those tricks right now. So let's head over to the bookstore website for UCI. And this can apply to any other college campus. This is just for UC Irvine, this format, but it works for other schools. So here's a UCI bookstore, um, and the prices in general at the bookstore tend to be a bit higher than what you may want to pay for. Some textbooks can range from $10 to almost $200 to $300, and it's just a textbook. But I'm going to show you some tricks to help alleviate those costs. So first things first, let's figure out a class that I want to look for. In this case, I have an engineering class. It's called Mechanics of Materials, and I'm just taking it in the summer right now. And I'm going to click here for summer session. Go down to Mechanical MA 150 is the name. And this applies to any quarter. This in particular just is because it's summer. I'm using a summer example. You can do it in the fall before the school year starts. So the UCI bookstore will post up a search feature to find out which books are being required of you in your class. Now, if they do not put up the information, what I do recommend is you email the professor the moment you know who it is. Find their email address and send them an email and ask them, can you tell me which book it is, what edition, and if you can, the ISBN number. That way it'll make it much easier for you to track down the book. Now the problem here on this website is because I think the UCI bookstore is preventing you from trying to buy the books from a third-party source, and I totally understand that, and that's perfectly reasonable of them to do that. So let's just quickly look. The textbook, if you happen to be lucky to find a used one, is about $140. At a new book, it's going to cost $184. So the problem is, I don't even know what edition of the book what this is, and what the ISBN number is. Now, because you don't know, the only way I can guarantee you figuring this out without having to go without emailing your professor is to visit the bookstore. The bookstore will have the information, the books will be there. Write down the ISBN number and all the information you need, and then you can just save that and use it to search for books online. Again, if you don't want to go through that trouble, just email the professor, ask them, for instance, do I have to use the latest edition of the book, or can I use the previous edition? And it's important because the newest edition of a book can cost quite a bit more than the previous edition, and honestly, there might not be any big differences besides problems changing in the textbook. And those prices for the previous edition are very cheap. They're much more cheaper than current prices here. So let's start with that. So in this case, let's say I didn't know. I mean, I have some information about this already, but let's say I went to the bookstore and I got the ISBN number. So I have the ISBN number now, so I can figure out which book it's going to be. I can go to a website like half.com or this website called campusbooks.com. And let's try campusbooks.com. I'm going to type in this case, just the title, assuming that I didn't have the ISBN number. And this version, 5th edition, is the actual version of the book that the class was requiring me of. Just to make things simpler, that was the ISBN number I needed. So I'm going to click Compare Prices and figure out what sort of prices are being offered for this textbook. And it looks like used prices dropped to about $124. It's still kind of pricey. It's not as it's a little bit cheaper than the used price at the bookstore. You can get away getting an international edition for about $102. You can get a used one from eBay for about 96 bucks. So there are some options here. You might be thinking, well, that's not too bad. You're saving about, you know, $80 if you can get away getting it for about 100 bucks instead of paying for a full price. And that's not too shabby at all. So, um, now let's move on to our next option. So now you know how to track down a book, get the ISBN number. You can either email or go to the bookstore and hunt it online. And now you can get an idea of the prices. You remember what I told you about whether or not you should use the fifth or the fourth edition? Well, I'm going to get into that shortly.